So welcome everyone to this Supermetrics webinar, and today we have a Facebook Ads Masterclass for you. So we're going to be looking at an end-to-end playbook for successful lead gen, including strategy, tactics, measurement, and optimization. So my name is Edward Ford. I am the marketing director at Supermetrics, and I'm delighted to say that we're joined by Jeff Zauer today, who's the founder and lead instructor at Data Driven. So Jeff, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the call. I'm really excited to talk about Facebook ads, Edward.
Yeah, likewise. I'm really looking forward to digging into this topic and hearing all your advice and wisdom on how to become a master of Facebook ads. So before we jump into that, just a brief intro to Supermetrics and what we do. And essentially what we do is get data, literally. So it's the easiest way to move your marketing data around. We connect to all your different marketing platforms like Facebook, Google, HubSpot, and several others. And you can just pull that data directly into your favorite reporting, analysis, visualization, and storage platforms. So this is kind of what it looks like. We connect to around 50 different marketing platforms and basically build out really deep connectors so you can pull any of the metrics and dimensions you need and move those into spreadsheets, whether it's Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, different visualization and BI tools like Data Studio and a few others, Tableau, Looker, and so forth. And then if you want, you can also move your data into a database or data warehouse to create a marketing data warehouse in products like Google BigQuery, and a few others are coming this year. So keep your eyes out for those. So that's essentially what Supermetrics does in a nutshell. And just before I pass over to Jeff, then we have over 500,000 marketers who use Supermetrics. We have over 13,000 customer companies, and also about 10% of global online ad spend is reported through Supermetrics. So we have a lot of marketers who work in performance marketing, PPC, and paid social, and we have customers from small businesses to large multinational organizations. So really looking forward to digging into the topic of Facebook ads today. So Jeff, I could pass over to you at this point, and you could take things further from here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful introduction. And I didn't realize how much the scope of Supermetrics actually. I've been using it for quite some time, and I love Supermetrics. Mention it just about every presentation I do, but great to see all the success you've all had. So, and hopefully we can continue in the success train by showing people how they can report on their success and some techniques you can use to make Facebook ads work for you. And so this presentation is called Facebook Ads for Lead Generation, and it's a masterclass. And we're going to answer the primary question: how can you effectively generate leads using Facebook ads and report it back to your organization? And so we're doing an end-to-end type of case study that's going to show you beginning, middle, end as far as how you can do things. Obviously, we only have so much time on this call, so there's a lot you can do in Facebook ads, but we're going to focus specifically on lead gen and share with you some case studies and actual results from some lead generation campaigns we ran and the summary of it. And I will say, though, before we get into the presentation, that these techniques, they will work for all Facebook advertising and not just lead gen campaigns. And so if you're running, if you're doing some of these techniques and you're like, okay, well, will this work for selling a product through e-commerce? Very likely it will. The principles are pretty similar, and really what we're talking about is the objective of generating leads as the main example we're going to carry throughout this presentation. So it could work for getting video views, it could work for just pure brand awareness, it could work for e-commerce, and so on and so forth. The principles are pretty much the same. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is I'm going to tell you about me in one slide. We're going to do our Facebook ads research, some research we conducted in the last 12 months that about Facebook ads and usage rates and what type of formats people are using. Formulas for producing effective ads. We'll spend a lot of time on that portion. Audiences to reach within Facebook ads. And then finally, how do you report this back to your organization and how do you tie it together using something like Supermetrics? Okay, so about data-driven in one slide. And one slide tells it all. This is actually just the homepage of our site, datadrivenu.com, and we've had over 35,000 people on our platform learning various forms of digital marketing, everything from Facebook ads to Google ads to the analytics side of things, and that's us in a nutshell. Okay, so here's our research we conducted around Facebook ads, and this is last year. We analyzed 10,103 Facebook ads, and we did it from top advertisers, both in the SMB category and the enterprise level category, okay? And so we analyzed a lot of ads. There's a link to it at the bottom if you wanted to go type in data-driven Facebook ad study. You can find that URL on how to look at it and see all the results of it. But basically, here's what we found that is pertinent to what we're talking about today. First of all, people use words like new, now, help, up, more, time, out, shop, day, free, one, need in their ads. So these are the most common words that you see in Facebook ads from the 10,000 we analyzed. So if you're wondering what words you might want to put in there, it seems like 3 or 4 letters is the way to go. And as you can see here, some of the key words that people are putting into their ads. Now, it might be a little bit of confirmation bias here where one person sees somebody use new, so they use new, or it could be that they know exactly what they're talking about and they're very successful at their ads, and so you might want to use that as part of your formula. Of course, if you just said new on your ad, it wouldn't really get you very far. So we have some more research that will help us figure out what else should go around these buzzwords that you put into your ads. Ad headlines. Most of the time, they are short and sweet, 1 to 3 words, which for me, as a Google advertiser, primarily somebody who's had a lot of success in the Google Ads platform, 1 to 3 words doesn't seem like very much to work with. But at the same time, we've seen in Google Ads, you can really only get 1 to 3 words in your head, your primary headline or your top headline on something there. So pretty similar here. Short and sweet is what people want. But as you can imagine, maybe that's not always the best way to go. So we'll have to show you some numbers and some results behind that as well. As far as ad copy, again, short and sweet. Between 11 and 20 words is the most common length of ad copy that we see. Actually, we see fewer things that are less than 10 words than we do 11 to 20. So that's definitely the sweet spot of how long people are writing ads. You can see there's actually ads out there, even from small businesses, that are 41 plus words. So it is still across the board. Images, they're more popular than video, but barely. So if you see here, the number of SMBs are, actually in here, it looks like it's a pretty staggering difference between video ads and image ads between both SMBs and large enterprises. But if you go to this one where it's percentage of advertisers that are using at least one video or at least one image ad, they mix it up a lot more. And so nearly every advertiser that runs an image ad also has a complementary video ad with it. And so when I say an image ad, I mean it's a static image that there's no motion on it. It's like a JPEG image or a PNG image that's along with some ad copy. And then when I say a video, I mean that there's a video that plays when you hover over the ad unit or when you click on the ad unit. And so that's the difference between an image and a video ad. And then there's carousel ads and square ads, which as you can see here are not quite as popular. And those are formats that not every advertiser utilizes. So we're not going to talk much about those. Okay, so with that research in mind, I also wanted to have some primary research or some primary experimentation to say whether or not these techniques really matter or not. Does it matter if you have a short ad text or a short headline? Does it matter if you use an image or a video? We wanted to see what works best with our own results. And so what we did was we decided to try some copywriting formulas, apply it to our knowledge or to our products and see what would happen, okay? So here are some formulas for producing effective ads. And the first thing is, does following our research immediately translate into your advertising success? Well, success isn't about following a single formula, it's about your audience, it's about understanding what people want. And I think that David Ogilvy, who's a 100+ years ago marketing mind, who's one of the founders of modern advertising, he said it best. He said, do not address your readers as though they're gathered together in a stadium. When people read your copy, they are alone. Pretend you are writing to each of them a letter on behalf of your client. And so you're writing to the individual, not to the crowd, okay? So the more you know about your user, the better your ads are going to be. And we'll talk some more about that when it comes to audiences and when we talk about who we're going after. But right now, from an ad perspective, the more you know about them, the better you're going to be. And so does it matter if you use a lot of text in your ads, or does it not matter? Well, the answer is our research shows less is more. So that's the research we had from just looking at what the masses are doing, but not taking their results into account. Well, we experimented. We said, okay, let's see what works. Let's do a very short and sweet ad. Let's just see this. This is 3 lines. It's between 11 and 20 words. And this is actually about the study we're talking about. So we ran this as a lead generation campaign. You can see a lot of people have viewed. This is actually a video. A lot of views, some shares, some comments, a lot of reactions. And we ended up getting leads for $2.57 a lead. So short and sweet ended up working pretty well in our experiment. Short and sweet worked okay, right? So you might not need a lot of text to generate leads. That may not be something that is really that important to have a ton of text. But If you have a higher consideration product, then more text can help qualify your audience. And so context is really important here. If somebody already knows who you are and they've heard of you before, showing them an ad with no text and saying just go become a lead might be something that they are ready to do anyway, so they don't need a lot of convincing. Somebody who's never heard of you, or somebody who you're asking to spend a lot of money with your product, or asking them to fill out a really long lead generation form, if you're in B2B, then they're probably going to need a little bit more convincing. They're probably going to need some words and proof or video, any number of things in order to convince them that you're worth their time. And so when you think about it that way, it's not so much about everybody should have 11 to 20 words. It should be you need enough words in order to get your story across so they think it's worth the effort. And the good news is that when you're on an ad platform like Facebook ads, or any ad platform for that matter, but especially Facebook ads, so you can figure that out pretty quickly. You can launch an ad to an audience, you can do a short one and a long one, do them side by side, and then know almost immediately which one is more effective. And so there's a lot of value in running, and there's a lot of ways that this can happen, and you can get that immediate feedback. Okay. Now, to help you out a little bit, I want to talk about what we call ad angles. Now, we publish a lot of ads. We write a lot of different forms of ad copy. We have some longer things. We have some really short and sweet. We have all kinds of different ads that we're going to show you right now and how the results went. But the key to doing this is that you want to have many ads that you're testing to see which ones perform best. And then once you know what performs best, you start to scale it up and summarize what made it work so well. So what made this work well? What was the angle that made it work well? That's what I want to talk about here. Okay, so instead of guessing with each ad you write, start with what I call an angle, or what we call an angle internally. So ad angles, they make writing ads much easier because you're using a repeatable formula. And that's something where if you're, we're advertising maybe 5, 10 products at a time. And so, writing an ad for each different audience, writing it, reach each product, each audience, that can be exponentially difficult. We can talk about having 100 ads running at the same time, right? So you obviously, if you're running 100 different ads, you can't make each one War and Peace, right? You can't make each one a novel. You have to stick to the basics. You have to stick to the formulas in order to see what works. And so that's how we're able to do experiments. We'll experiment with a formula. If it works, then we'll call it, we'll give it a name, and we'll use it over and over again because we know that works. And if it doesn't give results with a different audience, we might stop doing that altogether. Okay, so here are our best ad angles with all that out of the way. Here's the things that have worked best for us. The first one is the super short, which we just gave you a preview of, and that is simply, this is actually one that was done. This is a lead generation campaign that was done with a similar asset, just a little bit different screenshot on here. And we showed you, get to the point in 3 lines or less, and then you let your landing page do the rest. And so on this, you click on this ad, it would take you to a landing page that has what you're getting, basically a study or a data studio dashboard of our study. And so something we created that just gives you a summary of the report. It's like a 4 or 5 page PDF that somebody can download, and that's what we're doing to give leads. So you get a 5-page research report from all of our 10,103 ads, and we get your email address in exchange for that. So pretty standard lead generation. Give something of value and get their contact information in advance in order to form a relationship with them, to send them a nurture email talking about what you do, trying to turn that lead into a potential sale down the line. And not something you might do immediately, but something you're doing down the road. Okay, and so that's what we're having here. That's what we have here when it talks about when we talk about this short and sweet ad. Okay, so what were the results? Or so what's the short and the super short all about? One, you want to try to stay between that 20 and 30 words. It's great for low barrier of entry offers like a lead magnet. So if you're doing a lead magnet or doing something that's a white paper, which is pretty traditional in B2B or however you want to call it, I call it a lead magnet. It's just something that's high perceived value that's downloaded that's equally or greater value to somebody's value of their email address. The questions they can't answer, and questions that somebody can't answer do well here. So rhetorical questions can be a good angle to run. And then you want to check out our Facebook ad study in the resources section, actually, I guess this is, you just want to check out our Facebook ad study in the resources that I sent you earlier. So if we can put a link to that in the write-up page for this webinar, that'd be great. Okay, so what are the results? This is actually even better than the last one I showed you earlier. Similar ad copy, a little bit different angle. And as you can see here, Short and sweet, got us leads for $2.39, and those leads over time ended up becoming strong purchasers for the business. And so these were positive vibes, if you will, positive opportunities that came out of our Facebook advertising. The next one, it's called the fast feature benefit. This is where, as quickly as possible, you get to your features and your benefits in your ad. Now, as you can see here, we use emojis. We have a bunch of different emojis on here, and we found that does break up the monotony, and it is pretty fun to use emojis, and so we have them here. And the fast feature benefit is basically before you even have to expand the ad, you can see that green checkbox, which is one of our features and benefits that we put together. Okay, so here's what defines the fast feature benefit. It's direct and short and to the point with the intro. So the intro doesn't mix a lot of words, doesn't waste a lot of words, it just gets right into it. And then it shows the bullet points so they can expand to see what other bullet points you have below it. It's great for simple offers with strong pricing. So this is something we use if we're doing a direct offer, and this is in e-commerce, or if you wanted to, it could be a direct offer for your lead generation as well. You don't need to go overboard with your bullet list. We found that 4 is our sweet spot for the numbers we do. And you can use, if you're not sure about the difference between features and benefits, which is it's an essential copywriting trick or breakthrough that people have in their copywriting. A lot of times we think of our products as features, and our customers or our potential customers want to know what the benefits are. So when you say the feature, you need to add "so that" at the end of it, so you can say what the benefit is. So it's like, hey, I have 77 lessons in this course so that you can thoroughly learn Google Analytics and understand it from the ground up. That might be an example of the benefit. It's so the person receiving it, why they need 77 lessons, so that they can be better, so they can have a thorough understanding of the product. We have 14 downloadable resources so that you can save yourself time by not having to go on there, do it on your own. You can save yourself 20 hours in the first week just by using our downloads. So that's what the "so that" does. It turns a feature into a benefit. And the result of this, it's worked pretty well. So we do fast feature benefit all the time for our direct or flash sale type campaigns, and we're averaging right around 6 or 5 or 6 return on ad spend for these campaigns. And so this is not something we're talking about lead gen right now. This is direct to consumer sales that we found has worked really well. But the similar item applies to, similar formula can apply to your lead gen campaigns. You just might not need to really write as many bullets for lead gen if your landing page does the same thing. Then there's the what if. Now you want to transform somebody from a skeptic to a believer by showing them a dream scenario. So we call this the what if, and basically we're saying this is something for another one of our products that we put out there, and we're saying what if these things could happen. So the what if campaign or formula is saying, what if you could have what we have? What if you could have what we're doing? So you're painting a picture of what their life will be like if they join us on the other side, if they move forward, okay? So the what if, it's painting a picture while using features and the benefits. It's great for high consideration products. So you're using it more, trying to persuade somebody to make a big choice, a major choice. You want to identify a problem that you can solve for them. And this is part of this comes with the audience and what you know about them. And you want to keep it conversational. So I like conversational ads. We like to write from a conversational perspective because that's how I believe that people who learn from us, that's how they want to learn. They want to learn through conversation, not so much from just a one-sided lecture, for example. And the results of this one, even better, 7.33 average return on ad spend. And many of the ads that we run, many of the things that we put out there, many of the formulas we follow are getting excellent results. And of course, we're reporting on the ones that have consistently reported the best results, because things that didn't work for us, we're not going to show them for you here because we don't want you to go down that direction of doing things that might not work. Okay, so what audiences, the next step is what audiences can you reach with these ads? Now that you have some formulas for how you can write, you can either do one that's 20 or 30 words to do a lead magnet or to get a lead generation. You can do a little bit longer to show the benefits and the features right inside your ad to get them to really consider that click, which then would be considering the sale or considering a longer lead form or something that takes more consideration. And then even if you're painting the dream scenario, the what if, that could be used in remarketing to somebody who's already a lead. It could be used to reach people who who aren't sure or on the fence or have added something to their cart or have been a lead before, but you haven't heard back from them for a while, you could actually say, hey, all of our cold leads or all of our leads that we haven't heard from for a while end up getting the what if scenario. Okay, so what audiences should you reach with these ads? I like to look at audiences as a field. Now, depending on where you're from, this is either, well, if you're from the US, it's a football field, an American football field. If you're into rugby or soccer or football, that, non-American football, then this would be a pitch, right? So this would be the pitch that you're looking at. And as you can see here, as you go from the left, which is no awareness at all, to the right, you're getting people to be more aware of who you are. So we start with unaware, then we get to problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. And generally speaking, when somebody purchases or becomes a customer or is a long lead generation process, they have to go through these stages in order to become a customer. So these are the stages that somebody goes through before they make a decision. So who are you talking to and how much do they know about your brand? Well, if somebody's in the most aware category, they probably know a lot about you, right? Okay, so the more somebody knows about you, the easier it is to convert them into a customer, a believer, a lead, whatever you want to call that conversion to be, okay? So the more aware the audience, the easier it is to generate leads. It's pretty easy to take somebody who's already aware of your products to turn them into a lead, to get their email address, right? It's a little bit less, or it's most difficult, I guess you could say, to go from unaware to generating a lead because they have no idea who you are and they need to make that huge decision where they need to go from unaware of who you are or even that they have a problem to knowing the problem, knowing you have a solution and a product to do it, that they would want to become a lead. Now, you could actually say that maybe they go from unaware to problem aware by filling out your lead form or downloading your white paper. Yeah, that could be any one of these things. But when it comes to becoming a customer, you need to get them at the goal line or the finish line at the end. That's really the part at the end. The success part is really all that matters for most businesses. Okay, so retargeting is the easiest way to get that. They basically, when it's easy, when they're already product aware or most aware, retargeting is the lowest hanging fruit for your campaigns. So taking somebody who's already been on your sales page or already added something to your cart or knows who you are, has talked to your salesperson, staying in front of them is the best. It's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the easiest one to pick. It's the one that's going to give you results almost immediately. So if you want to learn about retargeting, if you've never heard that term before, or if you want to get an overview, we do have our retargeting guide as well on Data Driven, and it's worked out really well to just show people this high ROI advertising activity. So if you didn't know what that was, remarketing is basically taking somebody who is already aware and helping them make that decision. So you can see here, they're on the product aware, they see your remarketing ad and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Okay, we call these warm audiences internally. A warm audience is somebody who's been to your site or been interacting with you. And so they already are aware and you're using the ads to draw them in to take the next step in the journey. Now, warm audiences are BFFs when it comes to advertising. So this is something for our Google Analytics product. We have people who we have an audience of people who have bought of anything in the last 180 days. We have people who are leads. We have people who are subscribing to our site through our email list. We even have our leads just to that specific product. And so we'll run each of these audiences and then let Facebook distribute the budget between them and then have them go out there and find as many leads or sales as possible. Now the problem with this is that basically you only have so many people in these audiences. You only have so many people who have been to your website, and there's always, the ideal number of people who go to your website is more than those that are in your warm list, right? Unless you had an unlimited amount of traffic, remarketing is always going to indicate that you need more, right? You need more people coming in. So if you only rely on your existing awareness, it's difficult to scale. So the highest ROI activity you can do is a campaign that's a remarketing campaign to somebody who already knows you. But if you only rely on that, it's going to be difficult to scale. Okay. So to expand your reach, you need to trust Zuck. You need to trust the Zuckerism. And so the more data you give them, the more they understand what it means to be human for your audience, or in this case for them. Okay. So you can expand your audiences further with lookalike or cold audiences. Now, lookalike audience is basically saying for every remarketing audience you have, you can build a lookalike. So for example, You have cart abandoned. That got a little bit mangled on the screen right now, but a lookalike of cart abandoners. That's people who you're looking like your most aware people. You have a lookalike audience of your sales page people who visited your sales page. You have a lookalike of people who downloaded your lead magnets or your leads. You have a lookalike of people who viewed your video, whether it's a product video or a video ad. You can say, hey, I have a lookalike of people who viewed the video. And with each of these things, you can create your cold audiences. So as you see here, we have a lookalike of our subscribers, a look of our interest-based people who are interested in Google Analytics. We have a lookalike of our leads, and we have a lookalike of our purchasers. And what we'll do is we'll put them into an ad set under a campaign, and we'll let, again, Facebook choose which one of these audiences is going to be the one that's going to work the best. So basically, and I'm oversimplifying it a little bit, but Facebook, if you give them several audiences to choose from and you give them a budget, what they'll do is they'll run ads to each of those audiences, and then the one that gets the best responses, they'll start putting more of your budget into that and trying to give you the best results you can get. And so there's some optimization built into their platform for getting you the best results they can give you, okay? Now, the results of doing this campaign are pretty similar, revenue and return on ad spend. So you can see almost the exact same revenue over the time period, spent a little bit more money with the cold audiences, which is the top one, but the return on ad spends they're both very favorable, both very strong. And so overall, there's not a noticeable difference in quality between cold and warm audiences. And we basically were able to double revenue in this time period for almost, a little bit more than twice the spend. And so that's a large positive to be able to double revenue that easily on the platform. And so this is where lookalikes can be really beneficial. This is where knowing the right audiences can be great. And so to summarize, the warm audience, we might be doing our fast feature benefit. We might be doing our what if scenario. We might be doing our lead gen, our short and sweet lead gen ad copy. Well, once we know what works to a warm audience, you just copy that and you give it to a cold audience, which is your lookalikes or your interests, whatever your imagination can put forth, and then you can have the exact same copy work and try to get leads and work double time by basically expanding it to more campaigns. And that's what we've been able to do using this technique. And so it's been very positive to expand in this way and to go after the right audiences. And then finally, there's the element of reporting on what worked well, what didn't work well, and showing to your organization what it all looks like when it comes together. And so this is where Supermetrics can be your best friend. Now, when I agreed to do this webinar with Supermetrics, they said, you don't have to mention our product at all. You don't have to make this about it. And in fact, we want this to be objective. We don't want this to be a commercial. We don't want this to be like, we brought him on just to sell our product. And I don't want to just sell their product, but I will show you what I've been able to do with it and why I'm excited about it, okay? So I created a template that shows which campaigns and creative treatments work best. So I just showed you some campaigns we ran. I've shown you some creative treatments. But my thing is, basically, I just don't like reporting all that much. And so what I like to do and what I want to do and what I want you to do too is you want to copy a template that you like, a format that works. You select your new data source, which would be either provided through a native connector with Google, one of Google's products. It could be a Supermetrics connector, could be a different connector, right? It could be one that you use that connects to a platform that is not Supermetrics, right? It could be any one of those things. As long as they have similar field names, you choose your template and then you fill in the data, and then magically you have the same beautiful looking report with your own data. Okay, and so this is what happens. I connected to my Facebook ads account via Supermetrics. And as you can see here, there's a bunch of different fields that are available that come in. And I generated something like this in just a few clicks using Supermetrics data and Google Data Studio. And so this is an example of what creative is working best for me. So this is our lead generation reports dashboard. Shows how much we spent, how much we paid per lead, how many leads we generated. And then I even have a Google Analytics check on the far right column. And it basically says, here's a summary of your lead generation efforts, which most people, they have to go into their account, click around and figure things out. And this one just does it for you. And you can see which ads work the best, which creative is the best, which ones have the highest click-through rates or the lowest cost per 1,000 impressions. And you can start to piece together the story as to what you need to do for lead generation. What creative works best, which audience, you can see that all through this report. So you can do an ad set report if you want to, campaign level report, ad level report. It all sort of comes together when you talk about your audience, you talk about the message you send to them, you talk about the imagery versus videos, all these things we've talked about. It helps you understand what campaigns you should double down on and which ones you should be running moving forward. And it makes it very easy for your team to quantify, understand, and amplify in the future. So I love running ad tests, but I've definitely never really enjoyed reporting. It's always been a thorn in my side. No more. And just a quick plug, we actually create templates for Data Studio and for several other free and paid resources on our site on datadrivenyou.com. And we have all kinds of different resources you might find valuable that will help you with various aspects of your advertising, various aspects, like we have calculators, we have dashboards, all kinds of fun stuff you can use. So check it out if you wanted to see how to get a template just like that. It's listed on our site. And that's all I have. Those are the 3 elements that I wanted to share today in this presentation about how you can get the best results from your Facebook ads, how you can generate more leads, and some angles and some takeaways that you can say, okay, I can apply this right now. So I gave you some tactics that you can apply right now and you will get better results from Facebook ads, pretty much guaranteed. If you write better ads, if you focus on benefits over features, if you use your audiences based on their journey, not based on the interest, the broad interests you want to have. If you take what's working with your warm audience or the people who have seen you before, and then you copy it, clone it, and do lookalikes for a cold audience, you can, in some ways, or as I just showed, we were able to double our results for only a little bit more spend to double the results. So that's really positive. And then finally, the reporting element, you're in good hands. You know Supermetrics, that's why you sign up for this webinar. You know what they can do, and now I've shown you what I was able to do with their awesome tool. And so that's all I have for you right now, and I'm gonna hand it over to Edward and we can talk about whatever else we need to talk about.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. This was awesome. This was really good to get your insights into building Facebook ads and all the findings from your research, all the findings from the experiments you've run. So this was super good, and we're pretty much done. So we can just wrap things up. And so, yeah, if you could share your feedback, we'd love to hear what you thought of this webinar. And if you have any questions, you can drop us your questions as well. You'll have a way to do that. And if you're interested in trying out Supermetrics, then you can sign up for a free trial as well. You can just head over to supermetrics.com, and we also have several templates that you could use to get started, whether you want to do some reporting or number crunching in a spreadsheet, or start building some dashboards and reports in Google Data Studio for Facebook ads. So you'll find all that and more over at supermetrics.com. So that was everything, and I just wanted to thank you all again for taking the time and joining us on this webinar, and also a big thanks to Jeff for taking the time out and joining us today to share your wisdom on all things Facebook ads.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great, and I look forward to answering any questions people have and look forward to hearing about your success with advertising.
Absolutely. Thanks again.